oh. And let's be honest, this was a spot that Rob and I were sounding the alarm on so much last year. It's not even funny before the season, and for whatever reason, it got completely ignored. It's if the Giants thought, well, it's on a 3-4. You only really need 3 defensive linemen, so let's just go ahead and put Dexter Lawrence and just whoever next to him, and they'll be fine because they got Dexter Lawrence in the middle. That's not how it works. And thank God Dexter Lawrence was as good as he was for the 2/3 of the season or so he played, because let's be honest, we needed it. We needed a dominant performance by him. That's what he gave us again till he got hurt. So obviously we got Dexter Lawrence back. We got Chauncey Golston now, free agent from the Cowboys, which I love because it helps us. It hurts them. I love taking from a divisional rival like that.
Steal from the talent pool around you.
Yeah. And, I wasn't sure where they put Chauncey at first because he's a little small for a 3-4 end. But as of right now, again, as we said, we did the offensive part there for you guys on Monday. The Giants do not have the depth chart out, obviously, yet. They don't put that out till much later. But this is the one that ESPN has, and that's where they're listing them. And they list them based on what they hear, what they see, and that kind of stuff as far as that. So Chauncey Golston listed on there. Raheem Nunez-Roches, who, like we said before, has kind of disappointed his first 2 seasons going into his last year, now on contract. And be very frank, needs to have a good camp to stay in contract because it's not a friendly cap number he has. And the Giants can save some money if he ends up getting moved on from it. I hope not, because he's one of the very few veterans we have. He's one of the guys that, if you look at what he's done besides his Giant career, it's been decent. And we said going into this when we first signed him, he is a low-end starter, high-end backup.
Yeah.
And what we've had is we forced him into a starting position and then complained he's a low-end starter. If you knew football, you could have said that was going to happen to begin with. So, I do think you're going to look at him now as a guy that you can go ahead and put in as a backup if Chauncey Golston, the guy we're going to talk about in a minute here, or the rookie Darius Alexander, if you put those two in starting positions, it allows you to put Raheem Nunez-Roches as your 4th defensive lineman, your rotational guy. You're rotating in to give people spells there. The guy you're going to head and maybe put in when you need extra defensive linemen on a short yardage kind of situation there. That's what his role should have been all along, guys. And I'm just curious to see if he makes it there, because the Giants do save about $3.6 million if they cut him.
Ooh la la.
Yes. So only having to eat 1.4. So I mean, that's when you get a $5 million contract and 3.6 of that is not guaranteed. You better show up at camp. But I do expect them to do so. I still think the Giants would not be stupid to go ahead and have a talk with them about restructuring. Even if we had to add another year onto it and say, listen, we're not going to pay you $5 million. Would you take $6 million over 2 years? Or, because otherwise we're probably going to cut you. That's not a real $5 million right now. It's a $1.5 million.
100% is.
So, again, I think the conversation might be had, and I think it all depends on what he does in training camp and how healthy everybody is in training after the end of training camp there to see what happens there. But he's a veteran. He is a leader. He is one of the very few guys that has actual success in this league that we have on the defensive line. Like, there's not a lot of veteran depth in this line. It's a lot of them are people who are young players and never has-beens. It's the truth of the matter. Not nearly as bad as last year, but you still got a lot of those guys on there. So, like I said, I think Nunez-Roches, I think Nacho's got a spot on this team as a backup. I just think he might have to take a pay cut at that point to go ahead and keep that spot. And then we got the aforementioned Darius Alexander. Again, our 3rd round pick this year out of Toledo, a guy that most people had a 2nd round grade on. So really a steal of a pick there. I'm very excited for what he can do. He'll probably be playing one of the starting end positions there in that 3-4 defense with the chance to go ahead and move inside to nose tackle and spell Dexter Lawrence there occasionally as well, which is another avenue to how good this of a pickup is in this draft that I don't think is being talked about either. Because Dexter Lawrence, that poor guy, like, you knew he came out of the game, he's going to give up a 5-yard gain. Like, he was the only guy stopping the run on that defensive line last year.
Yeah.
So, you got a guy now that can spell him a little bit. You got the youngins. You got Jordan Riley, Elijah Chapman, who of course showed up out of nowhere last year. You got Jeremiah Ledbetter, Timmy Horn, Roy Robertson Harris, DJ Davidson, Corey Durden, Elijah Garcia, and Casey Rogers. You notice how quick we're going through these names, guys, because it's a whole lot of not much. Just being very frank here. And this is why I say that I think Nunez-Roches has a place in this team still, guys. And I think it's, again, you have to try to get a pay cut out of him. But if you start off with Dexter Lawrence, Chauncey Golston, Raheem Nunez-Roches, Darius Alexander, that's 4 right there. You want to throw maybe Elijah Chapman in? That's 5. You see what I'm talking about, the numbers here.
Not so deep.
Well, it's what I'm saying, though, is these other guys, we have a lot of players, but not a lot of people that you're really looking at as fighting for a roster spot, guys. It's more of like, which one of these is less bad?
Yeah.
That's, that's just
it's like, depends on the down, what we're doing, what we stop here. It's tomato.
Yeah.
Throw it in there, see what sticks.
But you figure you're going to have probably 7, 8 defensive linemen. That's what an average 3-4 team keeps on their roster. So if you got Dexter Lawrence, Chauncey Golston, Raheem Nunez-Roches, Darius Alexander, Elijah Chapman, that's 5. You need the 2 or 3 out of the mix we have of Jordan Riley, Jeremiah Ledbetter, Timmy Horn, Roy Robertson Harris, DJ Davidson, Corey Durden, Elijah Garcia, and Casey Rogers. There's going to be a lot of defensive linemen we cut this year, guys. But if I'm going to have to put money on it, I'm going to tell you point blank that Ledbetter is going to make the roster, I think, towards the bottom there. And I think very well could be Robertson Harris. It's just my gut feeling. We'll see if I'm right. That's one of those cases I think any of those guys could make the roster or be cut, and it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, it's like a flip of coins, how it goes.
Yeah.
On a day.
And it very well be that last day at the end of the training camp that it almost is a flip of a coin. It's like, okay, we need one more spot. Here's 3 guys. Which one do you like? That wouldn't shock me because none of these guys are hands down favorites. None of these guys are really a huge separation between, like I said, I think he got those 5. And he's got to kind of figure out the rest from there. All I know is we still got the best goddamn nose tackle in football. That's what matters. That's what matters. We have one spot we can say we have better than everybody else.
And there's a lot of nice pieces around him. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll give you a little bit of kickback on the lot, I think. But there's some nice pieces at least around him this time.
Yes.
Golston's legit. Alexander, a rookie, but I think he'll be legit. Roches, like I said, I knew Roches would be a good backup now. And Chapman showed some promise.
I should say a lot of players to complement him.
Well, yeah. Well,
because like it's not just on the D line. We're talking like the edge linebackers, which will definitely make a difference in his play as well. Because you get tunnel vision sometimes with certain players.
Yes, I mean it's hard not to with that kind of player.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But we'll talk about some of these other positions when you stack up the edge and you get, improve your linebacker situation. Like, where else are you supposed to run to?
Yeah. I kind of look at, like I said, the television is easy to get with Dexter Lawrence because he's just so damn good. And dare I say 3 seasons into his streak of good seasons. Am I crazy to say that if he keeps on doing this for another 3 seasons, people start going, is he a Hall of Famer? Like, I don't want to say he is yet.
I was going to say, let's listen. I'm the one that's always the optimist here, but let's not jump on the high horse yet.
No, and I'm not jumping on the high. What I'm saying is, if he has 3 more seasons like this, like he's had the last 3, does that conversation start being had?
It definitely has to be considered.
Because then you got 6 years. You're saying, like, that's enough. I think where you start talking about, okay, has he done enough? I mean, literally, you got 3 Pro Bowl teams in a row. You have 2 second team All Pros out of the last 3 years. You had 9 sacks last year, guys, in 12 games. Like, if he could put up those kind of numbers, again, defensive tackle, guys. Defensive tackle, not edge rusher. I feel like this is a kid that you figure 3 more years, he'll be 30 years old, which has still got plenty of, 30 years old for it's not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination for a defensive tackle. Like, you're usually good to go till like you're like 33 to 35 around there. It's usually around when things start slowing down.
Yeah.
If he can manage to stay healthy and keep up this level of play, I really do think this is a guy that has the potential, if he continues where he's at, to be a Hall of Fame type of player. And that's crazy. Where he was from a couple of years ago before this regime got here. Thank you, Andre Patterson, because that's the guy that needs the credit. It's the guy who coached him up. So, like I said, we'll see. Needs to be a guy that continues this for a few more years. As Jay says, Ring of Honor. He said, would Aaron Donald be a no-doubter without a Super Bowl? Yes. I don't think Aaron Donald needed the Super Bowl by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, he was by far.
It didn't hurt him, that's for sure.
No. But he was. You can't take it away. He was one of the best of our generation.
I think if you look at his time period, you would sit there and say he might be the second best defensive player of that generation he played in.
Yeah. If
not first best. That's how good he was. I mean,
then you could argue the best. Yeah.
I mean, J.J. Watt definitely would be part of that conversation, But if you look at him, I mean, I'm looking right at his stats here. He played for 10 years, was first team All-Pro 8 of those 10 years.
So you're saying there's a chance.
111 sacks in 10 years. So, yeah. He would have been. Just saying.
Yeah.
And he says the Super Bowl locked it up, though. It's still years away for Dexter. Oh, I'm saying that. That's what I said, point blank. He's got to have 3 more years to even start having the conversation. That's not to sit there and say in 3 more years he's a Hall of Famer if he continues. It's to start having the conversation. Like I said, he's in his 20s. He's still a young player. We got to figure out where he's going to be, how long he's going to be good for. I hate not even put that doubt out there, but let's be honest. Players, all of a sudden, sometimes just something happens and they lose it.
Yeah.
He's going to have to keep going for a while longer, especially because he didn't start off like that. It took him a couple of years to get going. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm just saying, keep it out there. If you had to pick a player right now on the Giants roster to be a future Hall of Famer, it probably would be him.
Currently, yeah.
I mean, unless you want to throw it to neighbors, but one season's a little early.
Yeah, it's a little premature.
Just a little premature.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you.